This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pornian Bakery. If you're located in the Pornian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pornian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. It's not like so. Yeah, it's fine. So whatever.
Okay.
But it's not so bad that you felt like you had to skip a song, though, right?
It's just the Kanye. The one I really skipped was the Kanye one.
You skipped it? You actually skipped it?
Yeah.
Oh wow. All right. Well, yeah, that was just
like
that's mostly a Kanye song.
Yeah, that's what it was like. It was mainly after his verse, it was just Kanye. So I skipped when Kanye was going.
There's no more game after that.
Oh, I skipped it.
But that's what he said. Like, if you listen to his interview, he's like, that's more of a Kanye song than a game song, and that came out like a month or 2 months ago. It's not like.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, it was like a single. It was a single.
There's one song that's not available on Spotify.
Oh, the 31st song?
No, like 26th song or something.
Oh, really?
Wasn't it like, it was like on my Spotify, like on that one in the car, it was like grayed out.
Oh, I don't know why.
No, maybe they don't.
Maybe you hid the song. I listened to it yesterday. I listened to all, like, they were all fine for me.
Does it show up all the songs?
Yeah, my phone's kind of far. Actually, I should probably pick up my phone. Okay, if you're listening to this, you totally jumped into the middle of our conversation of the games, the games new album. I only got really 2 topics for this week, so I think we can really flesh these 2 topics out. Obviously, the first one's about the game's new album, Drillmatic. I'm calling it right now album of the century. I think it's like the best album that has come out in like forever. That's why it's been like a century, and rap is only like 50 years old or something like that. So he named it Drillmatic. So Illmatic was Nas's album, which like changed the face of like rap. Like, everyone credits like Illmatic as like an amazing album that is like timeless, right? I listened to it. It's kind of dated, not for me. There's a lot of hits on there, but like whatever. So I think he was mirroring that idea in this one for like Drillmatic, but it's called Drillmatic Heart versus Mind, right? And I found that the game has been really, if you listen to his interviews, he's been doing like a lot of soul searching, and a lot of what he says is very conscious, like very aware of what's going on. Okay. And so was it blacked out?
Well, I only have the Apple Music on this one.
Oh, okay, hold on. Spotify, nope, they're all there. I don't know why yours is blacked out. You might have hit it. That happened to me before. Like, if you accidentally tap it and it goes
I
like
never
hide
tapped
song.
it. It was the first time going into the album, and it was just,
oh no, yeah.
one of the songs was grayed out.
No, they're all fine for me. Well, I don't know why. It's maybe a glitch or something weird. Okay, so you said something before I left to drop off Tara, and I was like thinking about it in the car, and you're like, so the reason why I like this album is because it really brings it back to rap, right? Like what it once was, but it's more like evolved. So it's like it's taking that style, but like obviously saying heart versus mind, you're consciously aware of something. Like, you grew up, right? Even if you listen to his interviews, he's like, oh yeah, the stuff I said when I was younger, like I take that back or whatever, right? He has a one line, if I'm 26 right now, if I'm still rapping when I'm 38, like that's like a shame,
right,
you know?
Yeah.
But then he's like, oh, I'm like old now and I'm still rapping. So he's like, I take that back, right? He's very, if you listen to him on like Drink Champs and like his one with like Speedy, his interview with Speedy, he's very honest and true. So the history of the game is in case you don't know what it is, he like got brought in by some producer that worked for Dr. Dre because they heard his mixtape, but he was working in, they call it like the jungles of LA where like all the Bloods live, and like he was like cooking crack in the kitchen, and this like producer like I guess his like bodyguard was like, who was like in front of the house like protecting it, was like, yo, somebody here from Dr. Dre's camp wants to speak to you. And he's like, get out of here, bro, Dr. Dre doesn't want to know me. So he like told that guy to leave. And then a few months later the guy came out, it was the same guy's back, and he's like, what? Oh, okay, let me talk to him. So he talked to him. He's like, yeah, Dr. Dre really likes your music, come down to the studio. He's like, what, right now? He's like, yeah, right now. So like he's like, I still had the crack stains all over my pants, and like, because he was doing like, he's preparing like his drugs to like sell, right? So he goes to the studio, that's where he meets 50, and then they're going through beats, and then they hear that, I think it's This Is How We Do, or I think it's This Is How We Do, and it was a reject sample from Dr. Dre, and he's like, no, I like this song, and this like beat, and then he got 50 to jump on, and then he got Game to jump on. So that was their like big claim to fame or whatever. That's when Game got really big, joined G Unit.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the falling out happened when so 50 didn't like somebody that Game was connected to. And Game was talking about how that guy is like pivotal to his career and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so then he was like, he was on an interview, and then he said like, he was like bigging him up or something, and then 50 got mad and was like, oh, we're not a part, the Game's not a part of us anymore, or something like that. And then so they went down, and then they like brought out their guns, like they went to confront Game, and then there was like a shootout. They went to confront 50 at the place where he's doing the interview, and there was a bit of a shootout. They like ran. So he heard about him being kicked out of G Unit during that radio interview. Okay, but during that time as well, like they were doing like a lot of like gang related stuff, and the Game thought it was real, right? He thought that this whole rap battle stuff was real, and then 50 had to tell, like he like pulled out his gun, like started shooting at somebody, and the 50's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, this isn't really how it is. We're like presenting a marketing piece for everyone, right? This is how we're going to sell albums, right? So that's what kind of jaded the Game, and he was like, oh, this whole rap thing isn't real. This whole rap industry that you made me believe with like Tupac. He's like, I was listening to Tupac, Biggie. I was like a young kid, and I was like, oh yeah, this is how it is. This is how it is, right? And then he's like doing like selling drugs and stuff. And then like when he made it to the mainstream where they were talking about this, he's like, oh, nobody's really doing this.
Yeah.
Right. So he was the only one who's like quote unquote real, right? As like really doing what he was saying in his raps.
Okay.
Right. Falling. All right.
Yeah,
So then you asked me, no, you didn't ask me. You said he's bringing it back to what it was. And then it clicked on the drive back. I was like, oh, he's honest, right? And that's what all the Compton rappers are. And that's why I'm really into them. Like, my number one might change to the Game now, but it was Kendrick. Kendrick was number one, and then number two was Vince Staples, and then 3 Pusha T. He's not from Compton, but like the top 2 spots were Compton, and then now Game. I think he's my number one now, just from this album alone. It's just so undeniably good. So I think it's like, because like there are a lot of skips on Kendrick's albums, but like I've never heard an album where like I don't skip Vince Staples, but his albums are anyways. So those 3 people are all honest. And I think that's what it is. Even my sister was like, why do you identify with this album? I'm like, I'm not a gangbanger, me, myself. And like, I'm more like a Pharrell Williams type, right? Pharrell like likes the music, isn't in the thing. Like in his interviews, like, if there's shooting, believe me, I'm going to call the police. Like, he's like, I am a skinny dude who skateboards. I'm not meant to be in a fight. Like, I just make really great beats. Like, I love the culture. Right? Yeah. And I think that's, like, so going back to the truth, I think that's why I like the Game's album and like Kendrick's album and Vince Staples' album, because they're not lying. And I think that permeates like what it is I respect in life, like honesty. Like, even if like, you know what I'm saying, like even if we don't agree, as long as if you're honest that we don't agree, we don't have to spend time with one another.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, really think about it. It's like, if I put all my cards on the table, you put all your cards on the table. If we don't like each other's cards, then it's like, cool, we don't have to be together. I don't hate you. Just go.
Yeah,
It's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That goes for everything. So, like, with these, like, I'm, like, segueing into the main topic. You're, like, slowly building it up. But, like, if you look at these things, like, you know, like the BIPOC and the... Because that's, like... top of my list right now, what I'm sentient about, because, like, you know, work related stuff. So, like, if you look at, like, inclusivity, we've been talking about that for a while. It's like, it's indifference, because, well, acceptance, indifference, but it's just like, just go do you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have to like your cards.
Yeah.
But these are my cards.
Mm-hmm.
We can share the space, but we don't have to agree. I can respect you enough to see that those are your cards.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything in life would be way better if we just presented our cards.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like superficial relationships and realities are so boring to me. It's like, why do we have to play nice? You know? Do you agree, or do you see my point?
No, I get your point, but I don't know how
that work in a society.
Yeah.
No, no. I get what you're saying. I know you're thinking of it from, like...
I think it feels like it's more your immediate surroundings, right?
No, for sure. Like, obviously, if you're working, you have to fake it. If you're, I don't know, like, if you're meeting a gas station person, like, interacting business-wise, like, if there's a commerce relationship towards it, obviously, you can't be your honest self. Because, like, you have to... Because that's not really who you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm more talking about, like, relationships.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Of course. I think you should be surrounded by people.
Or art and relationships.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, if you're doing art, it's just like art is an expression of who you are, right? So it's more of like a relationship with yourself. So that's why I like Kendrick not putting a lot of marketing into his material. Really great. Vince Staples, zero marketing into he's like independent, and he's doing amazing. And well, not amazing. I mean, like, amazing. They're all respected within their thing because they understand what it is, right? So, like, they won't compromise their art just to make money.
Yeah.
So if you look at somebody, you know, the big thing for the game is he doesn't like the fake rappers. That's what the whole album's about. That was what clicked. It's like, why do you keep like repeating ops? You know, like, ops are in the field, ops are around me. And it's because, and if you listen to the first song, go back to it, it's about how we said we would never work with the police. But then he has so many examples of people working with the police, like the Drake sample, right? It's an interlude, which is a voicemail that Drake left him. And it ends with like, yeah, man, you know, I'm working with the Department of Defense in Canada, so I got to keep that on the low, whatever. And it's like, you're working with the police. You're in this game of like rap culture, which we said we're not working with the police, but you're working with the police. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, it's a hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You know? And it's cool to be a hypocrite. Like, that's why I like Kendrick. He's like, I'm the world's biggest hypocrite, but I'm the first to admit it. So it's like, you understand, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're calling a spade a spade. We're not focusing on marketing here.
Yeah.
Right? Remember before, you're like, when I was like getting into the game for like, because it was my workout music, you're like, didn't Game like not have any albums in like forever? I was like, dude, I thought that too, right? But if you look at his discography on Spotify, he's had so many albums, and I was like, but they weren't marketed. Like, nobody cares, right? And that's what he's saying in his interview. He's like, I don't actually make money off of rap music. And it's like, that makes sense because we didn't even know you had albums out, right? And then, right? And then you said like he would get like a lot of play because of the Eminem thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is a great way to put him in the mainstream because everybody knows Eminem, so they're going to talk about the game. It's a great marketing thing, right? And in his interview, he's like, don't focus on the marketing, focus on the music. So like, just listen to the album. That's all I want you to do. Tell me it's not the best album ever. He said 30 songs, no skips. And I was like, that's a tall order. Like, like, name another album that's 30 songs that you've never skipped a song over. Like, you said you skipped over the Kanye one. Yeah. But I was like, but he admitted that that's more of a Kanye song. Like, he has one bar, and the rest of that song is Kanye.
Yeah, sure.
So, like I can't even name an album that I haven't skipped a song over. I mean, there's like concept albums which I didn't skip the song over. That's because you have to listen to it as a concept album. Like you know what I mean, like a concept album.
Yeah.
Like there's like a storyline.
Right.
So if you skip the song, it's like I missed the storyline.
Right. Like you mean like first time listening to it or like after listening?
I've just been listening to this bad boy.
No. Yeah, but what do you mean by skip the song? You mean when you're listening to it
like,
the first
like
time?
Trash. You're like, oh, this is not a good song. It was like, no.
Okay. Well, I've never skipped.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm listening to the first time.
Oh, okay. But so going back to, so like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, love that album. When it first came out, didn't skip a song. And then I'm listening to it 3, 4, 5 times. And then I was like, I don't need this. Because there's like a skit in there that's kind of like odd. Like it's, I forgot what the name of the song is, but it's like 2 people arguing back and forth. And I was like, this can get skipped. Or like there's other songs in there that are too preachy. And I'm like, I could skip this, right? But the games one, it's like, well, Vince Staples I rarely skip to, so, but that's only like 5 songs. So, you know what I mean? It's like 5, so like, why am I gonna skip 5 songs? Like, Vince Staples doesn't even make his money off of rap music either. He's doing movies, TV, all that stuff. Like, he was independent. Like, Kendrick, Vince Staples, and The Game, their main source of money isn't rap music. That's why they put very little marketing into it. They realize that this is an opportunity to make money, and then I take that money and then I use that money somewhere else. Right? So with that all being said, like, what can you name an album that you're like, oh, well, maybe Drake's albums, they're pretty good to me too.
I don't listen to Drake.
Yeah, no, you don't listen to Drake, but like you, like,
I'm most like I just like the only things I really listened to whole albums of were Eminem's.
Okay. So which one? Like, do you still like? Can you name one where you're like, oh, this is a no skip album?
Well, I haven't listened to it in a while, so.
Right. So it's like, did it age well? That's the question, you know.
So it's all about like what I feel like at the moment, right? So.
Yeah. Right.
Because music is all about feeling.
Okay. So maybe it's more like you're not in the demographic of listening to albums.
Yeah, you're
like, I'll listen to a song and then a song and then a song. Like, I'll take this, then this, then this.
Yeah, because that's my thing is always, even on my, like, I don't do playlists. I just do shuffle.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like to be just surprised.
Yep, totally. So then, would you put Eminem as I know you love Eminem, so like, would you put him as the greatest rapper of all? Like what my question is do you love Eminem because of the ideology surrounding Eminem and like your youth? Or do you love Eminem because you're like, every song by him is sick?
I've liked all of his songs.
Okay, I could play you some songs that I'm like, this is trash, bro. Remember when he was doing the accents?
Yeah, but I listened to all of them. Like, I never...
You listen to all of them, but like, you listen to them all as like...
Yeah, because even the accent ones are all like comedy.
No, totally. Yeah. What I'm saying is like, you're not in the demographic of listening through to an album. You're like, I put everything
unless
on
it's the first time I'm listening to it.
Right. So it's like, can you... So maybe you can't even answer that question of like, is Eminem a great rapper? Because it's like, oh, I go back and forth between like you like Eminem, but can you call him the greatest rapper?
Well, I would say yeah.
But why?
Why would you say good?
Okay, but like you have to have some sort of justification for that because you said that you don't listen to...
His storytelling is what I liked.
Okay. But he didn't always do that. So like, all right, so Kendrick...
What do you mean he didn't? He always did that.
I can... There are so many songs where I'm like, oh, this is like not storytelling.
Either their songs or you mean like albums? Like...
No, I'm asking you why you think...
I liked his storytelling.
Okay, you like his storytelling, but not every song is a storytelling song.
Sure, okay.
So then it doesn't go across the board. So what I mean by that is like...
So I like the ones that are storytelling.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And like, whereas Kendrick...
Or what I would categorize as more that I liked. Which ones I liked more.
That exactly. So like Kendrick, I put him at the top of my list. It's so difficult now with the game because that one album's so good. But Kendrick's albums all follow the exact same theme. They're all about suffering and redemption. Mm-hmm. Every album. Like, it doesn't change.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, if I were to say, like, I like Kendrick's storytelling ability, it's like, point to me where he does storytelling. It's like every album, he does the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. You just don't know he's doing it. You know, they're all like concept albums that go from like dark to light. Because his intention was, he's like, I'm going to make every album for people who are in prison. He's like, it's not actually for commercial consumption. He's like, my audience is people in prison that want to change their life. You know, he's like, I could care less if he's doing really well now because like he kept it the same and it just finally caught on, you know. But if you listen to like Section 80, people were ripping him. They're like, who is this random guy?
I don't know what that is.
Section 80 is his first album that made it big.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, it kept the same style storytelling, good, bad to good. And, or like conscious rap is what they call it. And like, where it's like, you're trying to educate people. Right? And people are like, who is this guy like trying to educate people? Like, I remember when it came out, I was like, oh, this is a really good song. And then people around me who were into like rap at the time, they were like, oh yeah, that guy's trash. And like, why is he trash? Because he's like too woke.
Oh, okay.
You know, but like he just kept staying woke the whole time, and then now it's caught on because we're in woke culture. So like his new album, people are like, oh yeah, like he talks about trauma and therapy, and like, wow, this is so innovative. It's like, go back to his old albums, he's always been the same. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So like, so that all being said, it's hard to argue Eminem being the greatest rapper of all time is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, right? Like, because you said I like his storytelling ability.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you can point to that would be like why this is Game's question too. So he's like, why is Eminem the greatest rapper of all time? He's challenging, quote unquote, the greatest rapper of all time.
Sure.
Because he's like, if you look at historically, Elvis was white, took black culture, made it popular, and he's like, that's been happening throughout time. So he's like, when we talk about white privilege, why is the greatest rapper of all time a white person? Like, that's his question. You know? And it's like, that's actually a very good question. When you said that, I was like, oh, I didn't even think of it that way. But is it the marketing, is what I'm saying? Because everyone says Eminem's the best. Why is he the best? That's actually my question. Like, I don't know why he's the best. Like, is it speed?
I don't know, I like his stuff a lot. Just in general.
But yes, but like, I'm trying to unpack it. Like, why? Like, why do people think he's the best? I don't know.
I think it's the storytelling. It's the way he raps.
But there's like, his rapping style isn't that like good. It's fast, right?
Yeah.
But there's Twista. Twista's even faster than him. So, like, okay, he's beat out there. Like, I'm wondering if it's marketing. That's my real thought. Is it because everybody said he's the best? That's why we all think he's the best? That's why Game was like, just listen to my album. He's like, then tell me.
Right.
And that's why I think it goes back to the truth, right? It's like, are we living in a world of marketing or are we living in a world of truth? If you objectively observe it, it's like, I went back because like everyone's like, Eminem's really good. So I started like, you know, like, this is Eminem. And I was listening to it, I was like, it's good, but does it qualify as the greatest of all time? I don't know.
Greatest of all time? It depends.
Yeah, like, best rapper, yeah. Like, all right, fine.
Like, we're saying like top 5? We're saying like...
Yeah, sure, top 5, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's in the top 5.
But like, why? Like, I understand you're saying yes because I'm feeling some emotion, but it's like, but is that emotion driven by marketing is my question. Because you have to explain to me why. If it's not driven by marketing, then you'd have an answer, right?
It was a storytelling. Like, all the beginning albums were about...
Beginning albums. There you go. So you said it. But then the newer albums, it's like, what happened to those? But I'm saying, if you were talking about storytelling, Kendrick Lamar has kept it the same for all of his albums.
Sure.
So then would Kendrick beat out Eminem then?
But I don't like his style of storytelling.
You don't like his style of rap, not his storytelling.
Okay, sure.
Because you don't like the beats. Remember, I was playing like Mr. Morale and Big Step. I was like, dude, the lyrics are insanely profound, and you're like, oh, I just don't like the beat.
I think it's more like because I never really listened to lyrics before.
So then, how can you say storytelling then?
But this is the only one I've listened to lyrics of.
Okay, so then...
So he made it in a way that I listened to his lyrics versus... Because it matched with the beat in the way that he was flowing with the beat.
But there's so many people that... No, like... So you mean like they...
There might be so many other people, but this is who I've listened to, right?
So then would that not be a byproduct of marketing as well? Because like all these people weren't marketing themselves. Like I said, like Vince Staples, Eminem... Vince Staples, Kendrick, and Game. They don't put any marketing into their thing. Like literally zero.
Okay.
Not literally zero, because obviously I put some marketing into it, but like not as much as most people, right? So I'm just wondering, like, do we live in a world of byproduct of marketing? Like, are we just saying he's the best because he's really the best? Or are we saying he's the best because, like, that's the collective consensus? This is a genuine question.
Yeah.
Because, like, the game brought it up, and I was like, why? Because I was saying that, too. I was like, oh, Eminem's the best ever. And I started unpacking it when the game said, why is he the best? And I was like, damn, I don't know why he's the best. Because even Kendrick Lamar's like, he gives it up to Eminem. Like, Kendrick Lamar's favorite rapper is Eminem. He's like, I stole his storytelling ability. That's why when you said storytelling, I'm like, yeah, he just took it.
Yeah.
Right? But the difference is, you said his first albums, but Kendrick's, all of his albums kept that style. So then if you would base it on storytelling alone, you would technically say Kendrick's the best rapper, better than Eminem, because he actually kept it for all of his albums.
Sure, but I think these are like, art is all subjective, right?
For sure. But it's like,
so who do you connect with?
Right, but okay, if it's subjective, then we wouldn't have a best rapper alive. Because then,
yeah, everyone would have their own best rapper.
But then why is everybody saying Eminem's the best rapper?
I wouldn't say everyone is saying that. I would
no, dude, Google it right now. Best rapper alive, Eminem's gonna be like top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah, because it's everyone's just saying it, and it's like, game ask the question. Just write, Google best rapper alive voted. Even Google rap god, Eminem will come up because he calls himself rap god, and no one challenged
his
it.
best rapper alive is a song.
Oh,
of all time, you said?
No, you can't say of all time. Best rapper alive.
I did best rapper alive. There's a song called Best Rapper Alive, which is by Lil Wayne.
Oh,
that's what first
everyone's
comes
forgetting about. Yeah. Lil Wayne's really good too, though. But I skipped a few songs, a bunch of songs actually. Some albums were weird when Lil Wayne had like guitar. He was learning how to play guitar, and he started making an album based off of guitar. I was like, what are you doing? People liked it though.
Okay, yeah. So this is,
Okay,
I don't know where this is from. Top 10 best rappers of all time, 2022.
All right, go ahead.
Ledger Note. I don't know what that is. Number 1 is Eminem.
Told you.
And the top strength is charisma.
I don't know that, guys. But
And then I don't know who Tech 9.
oh, Tech 9. Okay, yeah. These are all like
Chilla
woke
29
rappers.
and then Jay-Z. I don't know who Chilla 29 is. Tuna? Chilla. I don't know how to say his name.
All right, but Jay-Z's what, number 5?
4.
4. So Eminem is number 1. Why? This is the question Game is asking. And then, because I instinctively said Eminem too. But I was like, am I being programmed right now? When he said it, he's like, why is he the best? He's like, I'll go toe-to-toe with Eminem in a versus. Versus is where they play their hits, and then like the crowd decides. Like, so it's a underground rap thing where like they just go song for song. Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I would crush Eminem. And then I went back and listened to like This Is Eminem, and I was like, none of these songs are hard.
Yeah.
So, and then I listen to games, I'm like, oh dude, this is hyping me up right now. So I was like, you would crush him in a versus, but why does everybody say Eminem's the best?
I don't know if you could crush him in verses.
Wait, okay, so name a song that gets you hyper than
No, I'm saying like what do you mean by verses? Like
you play hit for hit. That's what the game is. Like that's what the versus
like verses
is.
as in like a what do they call them? Battle?
No, versus is like an actual thing that happens in like rap culture now, where they take two artists and one person will play their song to the crowd, and then the other person will play. It's a hit for hit.
Okay.
So it's like it's not a psychological game that we're playing, or like it's not like in our minds.
What do they call that? It was like
it's kind of like rap battle. Yeah, sure.
Is it like rap battle?
It's like rap battle, but they call it versus. So
Okay,
they take the two artists and they go song for song. They'll like play their song in front of the crowd, and then they have to get the crowd hype.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a rap battle. It's not versus like who's gonna win metaphorically. It's like who's got the better songs, like category of songs. So I went to the Eminem's one, and I was like, oh, these aren't hyping me up. Like they're good, sure, but they're not like hype. You know, like they wouldn't get me like motivated. And then I went to the games. I was like, oh, these are like, that's why the game became my workout music. It gets me hype.
Yeah.
Right? So like like actually ask yourself, like, why is Eminem voted number one, and why is Jay-Z fourth? That's weird.
Yeah, there's like a whole bunch. I don't know who made this list, but there's like a lot of the other artists that I don't even know about that are on here.
Yeah. So
Like there's another white guy on fifth.
So random. So
I don't know.
But that's what the game is pushing back against, right? He's like, ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's a soul searching question. I think that's why he called the album Heart versus Mind, because that's a conscious question. Like, to say heart versus mind, it shows me that you're like into some spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's what's gravitating me towards these specific rappers, because they're honest. They're not trying to present themselves as who they're not.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? And I think that's what makes a unique artist too. Like A$AP Rocky does the same thing. He's more about fashion. So like all of his music about fashion, because he's into fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, can you, like, let's unpack that. Like, I'm very curious, like, why, like, do you agree with me that you think it's marketing, or no, you still like?
No, I think if it's just marketing, then he wouldn't be able to handle himself in like
Eminem?
Yeah.
But okay, handle himself how?
No, because I think you can listen to his stuff and you can actually see if it's good or not.
Okay, so when was the last time you played Eminem?
When did I last time play Eminem?
Yeah. Vince Staples?
No, there was a new
Kendrick.
song with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, when the new song came out.
Yeah.
And what about his old stuff? When was the last time you played his music?
When I'm in the mood for them.
But that's what I mean. It's like you can't tell me when, right? But I can tell you when is the last time.
Well, you mean
Vince,
like years
Kendrick.
ago or months ago? We talk.
Whenever's like I just played the Games album last week. I listened to Kendrick's album, and like I can name you when I've been listening to these individuals. And I'm like, these people are great. But if you call them great, but you don't listen to them, then it's like,
oh, I do
that's
listen
weird.
to them.
Okay, so when was the last time?
Maybe like a couple weeks ago, let's say.
All right, but it was the new song.
No, it wasn't just a new song.
Okay, so you went back.
Like,
and
because
you
I always do
listened.
the
Shuffle. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
whatever. They
understand.
have this thing on Spotify, right?
But when did you go back and listen to his album?
His old album?
Yeah,
Well, the whole.
just you were like, okay, I'm just put on this Eminem album because it's sick.
Maybe if I said the whole album or something, like one of the old albums, maybe like last year, let's say.
Last year. Okay, last year. So it's hard to. So if you're going song, like you're like, you can't. All right, so if you hit shuffle, you're like, oh, I've listened to it tangentially. It came on randomly.
No, but you're specifically picking.
Yeah, of course, the things
like
you like. Yeah, for sure.
No, like, what do you call that? It was like an Eminem themed or something.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So like, but those are themed, so it's all him? Or is it like this?
But that's
like
the
him?
only option that I have with Spotify. The problem is the way Spotify does it.
Okay, but when you're listening to music,
Because I skip over things that weren't Eminem.
Okay, so but my question is like,
Unless it was a good beat or something.
so my question is like, if we were to call these people great, but we don't listen to them.
Like overall, if you see like the list of songs I've listened to, like Eminem would be there on the top list.
Open your top list, bro.
Okay.
Your most played song.
Where do you see that? How do you do that? Can you do that on Apple Music?
Yeah. Just click on like most played. I'll go to my most played. I use Spotify.
Where do you go to that?
Okay.
How would I do that?
Let's just Google it right now. I don't know it on Apple because I don't use that anymore. Find.
I haven't been using Apple because there isn't an Apple one in the Tesla.
Yeah, but you listen to Apple. Somebody use.
Like I haven't used Apple.
Okay, so then.
But we'll see what I've been listening to.
Would you just go to Spotify? Then you just go to Spotify.
But Spotify is all just in random, right? It's not like a historical thing.
But you could also search Eminem if you were into it.
Yeah, I do that.
So then it would come up.
Where would I go on the Apple one?
I don't know. You gotta Google that. I don't know how to do it on. Okay, so my top 5. Here we go. Is wow. This is actually recently played.
My only top songs of the year.
Okay, so you go for top songs of the year.
Wait, how do
You found it?
No, I'm just trying to see what it said, how to do it. Go to listen now? Where is that?
Okay, wait.
Go to listen now.
Sorry,
I
guys,
haven't
if you're
used this in a
listening
while.
to Spotify, top played
Listen now. Where do I do
songs
that?
for me. Stats for Spotify. View your personal. Log into Spotify. Okay, here we go. Stats for Spotify.
I just have like I have this
On the
one thing
top
called
artist. Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Replay 2020.
Okay, I found mine.
Where?
In top artists, last 4 week, Game is number one, obviously, because I've been listening to that for every work on music. Last 6 months has been, bro, check this out. Number one for me, last 6 months, Kendrick Lamar. Number two, Vince Staples. Number three, Pusha T. Then Drake, A$AP Rocky, Game. All time,
listen now.
all time, top artist of all time, Kendrick Lamar. Number two is Drake. He's got some good music. And then number three is Vince Staples.
Where do we go to this?
Then we go to Dance Gavin Dance, A$AP Rocky, Seosin, or Xiaoxin. Yeah, see, I named my favorite rapper, and it came up as my top played.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even count the last 4 weeks, because that's cheating, bro. Like, I've been listening to the Game every day.
I don't know what I'm looking for here.
Okay, I'll look for you as well.
Your top songs of the year?
Top artists, Apple. My top artist, Apple Music. My top artist,
Can you do that? on
Apple
here?
Music. Yeah. Apple Music Replay. It's like the first link. Just open it and click on that link. My top artist, Apple Music.
But this is a 2022 replay.
I didn't even open it. Okay, try. Oh, what comes up for you?
But replay mix, I haven't used it in 2022.
Tap. Hold on. Sorry. How do I see? All right. Tap the Listen Now tab in the navigation. Oh wait, no, that's for LifeWire. Oh man.
Like I can. Last time really used this was 2020.
Your
Like
Apple
that's-
Music?
Yeah.
Oh, so then do Spotify. Do Spotify like me then.
No, but I haven't really used. No, I didn't use Spotify. Not on the phone. I don't have it on the phone.
But you said you haven't listened to music Apple since 2020. So that means you would have been listening to Spotify mostly.
Not like in regular basis. Like if you see the top on 2020, this is the replay 2020.
Okay, go. Who's your number one?
Is it based on number one? Based on
Yeah, my number. I said Kendrick was like
one
the best
in your
rapper,
playlist?
and he was my number one on all three lists. Top played.
Well, the whole album of Eminem is there, but not in the top.
Okay, so but yeah, not on the top. But what is it? What was your first one?
Astra,
Okay, and what's number two?
Bob Moses,
What's number three?
NF,
All right, which number is Eminem?
7th.
Seventh. So hard to say that he is the like.
No, it's like that's what I'm saying. It's if I say top artist played of all time,
Okay,
that,
so
that would be
okay.
Eminem.
Okay, I guess top rap artist. Yeah.
Like if
'Cause he'd
multiple,
be
if the
your-
amount of times I played this artist, it would be Eminem. I know that for sure.
Okay, maybe it's because that's just what you gravitate towards when you think of rappers.
That's what I'm saying.
So actually that makes sense. Your plethora of knowledge for rap is like jump to Eminem. So
Yeah.
that's why it's like Eminem. So okay, we can't even have this conversation then.
That's what I'm saying. Like for my top artist, it's him because that's all that I've mainly listened to. That
Yeah, okay.
it was mainly him
Right.
who then gravitated towards Dre. From him came Dre, Tupac, and
right. So
50.
then, but because of that, that means that you can't even answer that question. Best rapper to you because he's 7th on your list.
To
You
me,
don't
yeah,
really
that's what I'm
listen to
saying, it's
rap.
subjective.
Yeah,
That's why I
I'm
said it
saying
was-
you don't really listen to rap. I'm like yours
my
is
rap,
like,
my introduction to rap was Eminem.
right, and
Yeah.
your music. I'm saying that I really like hip hop music.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like when I actually
There should
look
be a
at
way
it,
to show you're just top artists. Anyways, go ahead.
And Spotify, that's how I saw it. Like Spotify had it, but not Apple apparently. But okay. So then I guess you can't even answer that question. So asking who's the best rapper of all time, it's like, but I only know Eminem, so I'm going to go in that direction.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Right. So then going back to the game's question, people who are connoisseurs of rap, it's like, why do we think that Eminem's the best? And then I just did the exercise. I'm like, yeah, Eminem didn't even come up for me at all. Like,
so he's not probably on your top list.
But why is he being voted as number one? I think it's marketing, because it's like you should only segment the people that actually listen to rap and then ask them that question. Mm-hmm. You know. Mm-hmm. But if you generally ask the question across the board, like who's the best rapper alive, we've heard Eminem. Like for you only really listen to Eminem if you're listening to rap music.
Yeah, I mean, from him, that's how I got into like the G Unit and stuff like that.
For sure.
But those all happened
like,
after.
Even we did like the music exercise, and
like I haven't listened to G Unit in a long time.
But you haven't listened to rap. Your number one was like a whatever.
Yeah.
None of the like up to number 7 is when you got to rap music.
Yeah.
Right. So okay. So
I do but rap was what I grew up listening to, which was, I mean, Eminem was what I grew up listening to.
Eminem. See what I'm saying? So it's like, is it because he was so shocking when we were kids? He was like, yeah, right? Yeah. So is that where this comes from? I'm just trying to unpack it. Like, why is he number one?
I think it's that it depends on who you're asking and which age group you're asking.
Right.
And I think it's because of his shocking verses that he did.
As a kid. And then you just stuck with that over time. You're just like, oh,
I just never heard anything like that before.
Right. But then we also didn't have Spotify. We didn't have like I'm like music hungry, you know. I'm like always, hip hop music hungry. So like I will, and rock music hungry. Not so much, actually hip hop. So like I will like constantly go find new rappers, and I'm like, oh, maybe there's somebody that's gonna be better than the old, right?
Yeah.
And like, but collectively, in the collective consciousness, we all say Eminem's the best rapper, and Game is challenging that. Right. So if we found the answer though, because like I was like, why do you think he's the best? You're like, oh, storytelling ability, and then I started naming other rappers that like Kendrick Lamar copied that, and then you're like, but you were adamant about Eminem being the best, and then we looked at your music, and it's like,
so here, 2018, like that's when his album was out, right? One of Eminem's album.
Okay, and then that's when you went to go listen to it.
So like you can see, the whole top list of 2018 was Eminem's album.
Okay, yeah, but all right, whatever.
Right.
But no, what I'm getting to is
like it's what you're listening to that year.
Right. But I actually disqualify you from this conversation now because you don't even listen to rap. Like your number one was like not even. Hip-hop.
That was in 2020.
Yeah. Okay. So 2020.
Yeah. Like, and I don't think I've really since I got the car, I haven't really used Apple Music as much.
Okay. Let's assume.
Which is 2021.
but you don't listen to rap music on the daily basis.
No.
Yeah. So.
No, I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Think about how crazy this is. Actually, think about how crazy this is. I listen to,
at least now, yeah. In these times, yeah.
Right. So I listen to hip hop music like. It's a balance between hip hop music and screamo. But looking at my statistics, number one was like the first 3 were all hip hop. So I can be like, no, I actually think this person's better than Eminem. But then when I asked you the question, you were like, Eminem's number 1.
Right.
Because that's what you know.
Yeah.
Right. So how many other people are doing the exact same thing? Right. Like within the category. That's why
I think that was probably the thing. I think he.
And then we grew up with him.
I think that a lot of people that listen to him never listened to rap before.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's so just like Elvis. It's just like Elvis. And that's what Game was saying.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense why he's number 1. Because he's got a bigger audience.
Yes. And that is why Game was saying it's cultural appropriation and it's more white supremacy that Eminem's number 1. When he said that, I was like, let me really examine this statement. Because, like, why is this the thing? And I know you love Eminem. Yep. So I was like, okay, but now like, actually looking at our statistics, it's like, but your point of reference for rap music is Eminem. That's why you think he's number 1.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But my point of reference for rap music is a huge plethora of rap music. Like, I knew those people, like Tech Immortal and stuff. They're like not very good. I'm surprised they're at number one, but, or like Tech Nine, whatever. But like, so within the actual genre of people who are within this genre, we wouldn't say Eminem's number one, but marketing wise, collectively, like everyone within the community says Hova's Jay-Z is number one. Mm-hmm. They just give him respect. So when he was number 4 on that list, I was like, what? Everybody in the community.
I don't know what this list is, who's made this
but
list.
It's marketing.
But Eminem is generally on the top.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is Game's question. And that's why he called out Eminem. He's like, let me bring this back. Let me like, no, I'm going to take that crown back. Because like, why are you number one? Mm-hmm. And that was the question. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like we live in a world of like marketing, you know? Unless you drill down the information, like we just did. We actually we like ran a statistical analysis in real time.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know what that means when you say marketing, but I think it's because he's got the bigger audience.
That's marketing. Yeah, it's the pool. It's the pool size.
Yeah, he brought in more people into this.
Yeah, because he was the white rapper.
Yeah.
So he brought in the white community. Mm. So people who don't usually listen to rap, they were in, just like Elvis. That makes sense why Game likened him to Elvis. Right? Because like nobody listened to, like, if you watch the Elvis documentary, Elvis always credited like BB King and like all these other like
same thing with
artists.
Eminem would do. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because he grew up in there.
But he was pushed to the top as the number one in the genre. But they're like, why is a white person taking our spot?
Yeah. Well, it was pushed by Dre. So.
But right, because
if it
was
was
a cash cow, it's like, oh, I can market this to a new demographic.
Yeah, I think that's what Dre saw.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what Game is trying to point out now. Yeah. And this is why, again, I
think Dre knew this was going to be controversial.
I think so.
Yeah, he knew.
He's genius.
He knew. Yeah, of course.
Right? And he's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Game is trying to. That's why
I think that was like in the earlier interviews, like why is a white guy doing this?
Exactly.
That was a big thing.
And like if you listen to that song Black Slim Shady, he made that joke, and I was like, that's so funny because it's true. He's like, you wore a do-rag for 10 years and have no waves because he's not black. You can't get waves in your hair.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, that's a good line. Like, okay, so going back to it, the reason why I identify with these 3 rappers is not because I'm like a gangbanger or I know about that culture, but it's like they're honest. And I think honesty is, at least to me, attractive, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Because it's like, I don't think for most people know, you know? It's like the red pill I was talking about, like how much of this red pill you want to take. I'm about to segue into the next topic. But yeah, so do you have anything to add on to that before I go into this red pill?
No, I think you're right about the honesty thing. I think
that's why I like it. It's like those Compton rappers are honest because they see it all the time, right? Yeah. They're like, literally, Game was in the quote unquote jungle. If you watch Training Day, okay, there's this old movie with Denzel Washington, Training Day.
Oh yeah.
And it's based in LA, and they go to the Bloods area, right? And it's called the jungle.
Yeah.
Right. It's where the Bloods like live. They do all their like gangbang activity, whatever. Right. And Game is from there, so they saw it. A fun fact: Dr. Dre's in Training Day. He's an actor in it, but it makes sense because like they probably were like, we need your input to talk about reality.
Well, he's from Compton,
right? So they're probably just like, we'll put you as an actor, and we need to know what's really going on. Because like, how would they know about the jungle?
Yeah. They need to,
like,
of
no
course,
producer's gonna know that. Like, it's sort of like Prey.
It's like, you need to have people that are from
or producers from the area. Like Prey, they actually had indigenous producers so that they could like cross-reference their stuff. Like, is this correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So they probably did that with like Dr. Dre was like, is this like this jungle thing? Is this real? You know what I mean? Because like when I heard Game, like even Game's origin story, he didn't believe that Dre wanted to listen to him. He's like, why would Dre want to talk to me? I'm like this crack dealer in the jungle. You know what Games? This is why I love this guy. I was listening to his interview. I was like, this genius. You know what his original plan was?
What?
He wanted to work at Home Depot so that he could become the general manager, and then that would give him enough money to leave the ghetto.
That sounds like the most normal.
That's the most normal thing.
Yeah.
Because it's real to him. He's like, he had to sell crack because he had no other way to make money. But he was applying to Home Depot. Like, what? That's the most normal thing. And then that's why he didn't believe that Dr. Dre. He's like, why would Dr. Dre care about me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like someone this high up.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
But Dr. Dre's a genius. He's like, I can get the truth and then I can market that, sell that. Right? Even Vince Staples. He's from Compton as well. He wants to work. I think he wanted to work at FedEx. That's all. But he has a criminal record. So he can't make money else any other way. Yeah. Do you know how he got into rapping? He was hanging out with the Odd Future people, like Tyler the Creator.
Oh, okay.
The group's called Odd Future. Okay. So you're just hanging out with them because they live kind of close. And they're like, yo, man, you should get on this beat. And then he's like, I don't know how to do any of that. They're like, all right, we'll coach you. Like, time, all right, ready? Sing now. It's the same as Eazy-E, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you watch Straight Outta Compton, he was like a drug dealer and he's like, man, I don't want to rap. And then Dr. Dre was like, just follow me. Da, 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 da. And then they did it. And then just over time, he got better, right? These people just wanted normal lives. They weren't looking to become famous.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so attractive to me. Because, that's why they're like, rap is an opportunity. It is not my end goal. Like, Kendrick Lamar is making movies now. What?
Yeah.
50 Cent too. Making movies.
50 Cent is doing a whole bunch of stuff in the entertainment world now. He's got his own shows.
But remember, we even unpacked 50 Cent, right? Like, his first album was so hard. And then the next albums were like, why are you going commercial? It's so weird. Yeah. Right? But he knew the hard album would get him through the door, make some money. Let's leave.
Yeah. Because in the other albums, you just have to make because you've made a deal with them.
Exactly.
It's not something that...
You signed X amount.
It's more like, it's not really what I want to do, but it's like, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So attractive to me. Anybody that's brutally honest is I don't know. You know what I mean?
There's probably there's a level of attraction to that kind of thing.
Because it's that's so, in a world of marketing fakeness, we have these few honest people. Yeah. Anyways, so I feel like that's what's cool about this podcast too. It's just our opinion.
Yeah, it's just an opinion.
But that's the honesty of it.
Yeah.
It's although I do have to save some things because I can't really say everything. You can't be too honest. You don't have FU money, so you know what I'm saying. So Joe Rogan, he's brutally honest too. Game, brutally honest. All these people have FU money, so they can do that. We still need jobs.
Yeah.
But imagine if we had $1 million, we'd say whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
I would just go on a crazier rant than whatever's been said. We have to kind of also toe the line because we're in the world still.
Yeah, living in society.
Yeah, but they have so many millions of dollars, they don't have to. That's why they don't rely on marketing.
It's just their name now, right? Their name is already big enough.
Yeah, and for Vince Staples, he's like, I make as much as a doctor, and that's good for me. Because I would have never been a doctor otherwise.
Yeah, if you're doing it it depends. Yeah, it's all in the individual. It's you could make a lot more, but you don't have.
But you have to do certain things, and that's what they said in their interviews.
Yeah.
They're like, do I really want to do this press junket? That's a lot of work for me. Do I really want to make this song because I know it'll be a radio hit? That's a lot of work for me.
It all depends on your lifestyle of living. So that's the it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're in a bigger mansion, you're spending so much money on just keeping upkeep with that.
You're in a prison. You're in a really nice prison.
Yeah.
So Drake, greatest artist of all time. He surpassed Michael Jackson. Drake, literally Drake.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By plays?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's number one now. He's number two, and then he moved up to number one. Just because he's more world known. The music is just played so much, whatever. But he lives near us, right? He's one exit away from us, Bayview.
Yeah.
In the I forgot what it's called. Do you remember Forest? No, not Forest Hills. I forgot what it's called, but he's like one exit away, right? We drove past his house, remember? And it's just really nice, but it's a prison.
Yeah, you're
not leaving, bro. That's why it's nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of artists say this, right? So like,
there's a lot of loneliness in that.
Yes. And Kendrick, Vince Staples, Game, they don't want to sacrifice that. Mm-hmm. They've like said that so many times, like.
But this is the lessons learned from the older rappers, right? It's like
but Drake learned from the older rapper, but he wanted to elevate himself to godly status, right?
Yeah. No, that's up to them. It's and he wanted to do that, right?
Yes, yeah.
But he was always in the public eye, not as much, but not as much. Yeah. He has that little bit of that.
I think
he grew up with that, you know.
I think it's more like, oh, I can do this, and he's just doing it, you know, like. His music is phenomenal though, for what it is. Like, I wouldn't put him as the best. Like, Kendrick battled. So this beef with Eminem and Game, it also happened with Kendrick and Drake. So everyone was saying Drake's the best rapper, and Kendrick got pissed. He's like, he's not a rapper, he's an entertainer. If we're talking about rappers, I'm the best rapper alive. But Drake is the best entertainer alive. Because like, he doesn't live the way he sings. Whereas they're living the way they sing. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times have you heard like, oh, like Drake, what are you talking about? Poorness. You grew up in like Forest Hills, which is like a rich Jewish community. So it's like, what ghetto are you talking about?
Yeah. That was the whole song. Come from the bottom.
It started from the bottom. Never here. So what are you talking about? Like, you were on Degrassi as a kid. Like, you were a child actor. What bottom are we talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, a lot of rappers would make fun of him for that. And regular people make fun of that. Jared does not like Drake because, you know, but I call it like it is. You make great music. You make great music. You know, you are number 2 next to Kendrick on my all-time play. Like, I just opened it, right? And number 2 was Drake. Because like, he is great, but he's not honest. So I think like that's the attraction. All right, speaking of honesty, I think I've exhausted that one. Anything else about rappers?
No.
Okay.
Since I only listen to Eminem.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, isn't that crazy though? Like, because I knew when I sent you that song, like this morning, like when you're like, oh, I didn't like the song, I was like, I knew you were going to say that because you love Eminem. But I was like, I don't think you're unpacking it the way I'm unpacking it. So we had to go over the song and like, because remember you're like, oh, I didn't even like the way he rapped. And I was like, no, he's making fun of Eminem. He's trying to copy his cadence, right? With the high voice and all that. And I'm like, of course it sounds weird. It sounds stupid to me too. I was like, it doesn't sound good. But it's like, it's because it's like parody track. Anyways, so
we'll see if Eminem responds.
I'm excited for that one though, because Eminem's good. Like, Eminem knows how to attack as well. So it's like,
yeah.
But then the other fear is that Game takes this seriously, so we don't know if Game's gonna go like shoot him for real now.
No, I don't think Game's taking this seriously. I think this is.
I don't know though.
Because he called
him. You're saying.
Because also it's like the title of the song, Black Slim Shady, and Slim Shady is supposed to be just the crazy one, right? He's not the actual. It's the two sides of Eminem, right? Yeah, Eminem and Slim Shady, and Slim Shady is the one that's the crazy.
Yeah, true. He didn't call himself like the real rap god or like Eminem. You're true. You're right. Yeah, fair point. Well, yeah, it could just be like, but how awkward is that for Dr. Dre that you have 2 artists under you that like you brought up?
No, I think this is all. The whole thing is good marketing.
Oh, for sure. No. Dr. Dre's sitting back like counting his money, laughing. You know, like he's like, this is great for me, because Game always gives Dr. Dre respect. He never dissed Dr. Dre in all of his albums. Even when Dr. Dre would like, Dr. Dre abandoned Game. That's why he's nothing produced by Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Like his album, 0 production by Dr. Dre. But that's because, but why do you still, like, that's just another testament to how real you are. You didn't diss Dr. Dre. He's like, you literally gave me my career. So even though you won't produce any of my music anymore, I'm going to give you acknowledgement that you got me here. So he never makes fun of Dr. Dre. You know? Like, that's real.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, anyways, we can go on forever about that. So the real topic, I think I might call this, like, depending on how long the title is, like standing up for Indigenous rights. Mm-hmm. So I did. How long are we at?
No, how much time do you have?
No, I have my watch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're just been an hour in.
Yeah. Oh, it's been an hour? Oh my god. Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah.
That's fine. I know, because I gotta go to jiu-jitsu. If I push it to 11:45, I'm always running late.
Okay.
You know what's funny? They're like, why are you always rushing? I'm like, you don't know my life, bro. Like, I literally go from one thing to the next thing as fast as I can. Mm-hmm. Like, after jiu-jitsu, I gotta come back, pick up Tara, go to my cousin's event. Like, I'm jam-packed every day.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I did the training, and I was going off to you and Tara's, but like, I didn't know any of this stuff. All right, so everyone talks about like truth and reconciliation. We all do land acknowledgements. We're all like, oh, Indigenous rights, we got to stand up for them. And I was also like, I mean, let's be brutally honest here. I read the book, and read that one book because I was like, what's going on with like all this stuff? Like, I was like, why are we doing all these land acknowledgements? It seems superficial to me. Like, why do we even care? Everyone's doing it, but like, do you even know why you're doing it?
I don't think most people know why we're doing it.
That's what I mean. And, it's just something that they legally had to do, blah, 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 right? So I read that book, and it was pretty mind-blowing, from treaty nation to treaty peoples. And I was like, oh, they have no rights. And I was like, wow, that's pretty messed up. But it didn't really make me care enough. Sad to say. Like, I had to pause there. Like, it didn't really make me care enough. But am I just the only one that actually admits that? Like, really, you're going to tell me that you really cared about this? You don't even know anything about it. No, I mean, people who, like, advocates, do you really know what the issue is? Like, every child matters. Why?
No, I don't think most people know what the issue is.
And I think everyone's gravitating towards residential schools.
That's what started it, yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's like, oh, truth and reconciliation. We got to reconcile the injustice of the Indigenous people, what was it called? I just lost my train of thought. The schools, what do they call? Residential schools. Yeah, so I know. I have like 5 steps ahead of where I want to take this. So like,
okay.
So like everyone's like, yeah, the residential schools are so bad. The mass graves. That's really what started it, right? The mass graves, and people got so mad.
Yeah, I think it's the terminology of mass graves. That's also an
right.
issue.
It sounds terrible. Like, and everyone's like, "Oh, remember the LiDAR thing? Well, we didn't dig up the grave, so we don't actually know." Yeah. And it's like, I was like that too. Like, yeah, technically, we don't really know.
Yeah.
Like, so, all right,
we still don't know.
We still don't know, but whatever. Well, that's a small issue compared to everything. So everyone's focusing on death, right? Yeah. You know why? It's because everyone thinks, and they said this in the program, and I was like, dude, I didn't even think about that. When we were growing up, we all assumed that the Indigenous people got killed off or moved off the land because of the white people, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, the British and French came over, colonized the area, and now the Indigenous are just salty because they got colonized. So we all think it's about colonization, right?
Right.
99%.
Sure.
Would you agree? Like,
I agree.
That's what you would assume too.
Yeah.
Reading history, I thought that we were reading history books and being like, oh, that's really sad what we did to those Indigenous people. That's not what happened. Okay. So this program was made in partnership by RBC. I think I'll put the link in the description notes in case you want to check it out. Because but it's only open until August 31st to register, but you have until December 31st to do the program.
Okay.
I don't know why they're doing. I think it should be a forever content. I don't know what they're doing, like why it's expiring, because it's so valuable. So RBC funded this thing with the Indigenous, the University of the Indigenous Studies, and they made this program. They say it's 3 hours, but that's a friggin' lie. It took me like 5 hours, and that killed my whole workday. But whatever. So what really happened was the French and the British came to Canada. They were fighting with the Indigenous because the Indigenous made up the majority of the land, and they were like losing. Yeah. So they're like, we need to create treaties so that we can work with these Indigenous because we're just getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
Right?
Kind of makes sense.
Because it makes freaking total sense.
Because how much, you're not bringing like 100 ships. You're bringing
exactly
like 2 ships of like how many people?
Thank you. So just logically thinking about it, that actually makes total sense. You didn't bring thousands of ships with people. You brought let's say 10 ships.
Yeah, let's say.
Right, maximum. Let's say you had 100 people on there. 10 times 10, you had 100 people. You had 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Okay. But they call Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., they call that Turtle Island. So I thought Turtle Island was a small place because you're like island, right?
Yeah.
So when you hear the term Turtle Island, it's because they inhabited all 3 areas. They lived off the land for 4,000 years, assumed. That's as far back as they could date. For 4,000 years, you lived on this gigantic landmass called Turtle Island, which is Mexico, America, and U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
So you really think 1,000 people are going to slaughter like hundreds of thousands of Indigenous? Right?
Yeah.
That logically makes no sense.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that smallpox came in. Really? You think that took out like 90% of the population? I wouldn't think so. Right? The immune system we saw with COVID, you're going to adapt. So maybe it'll take out 40% or whatever the kill rate is, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going through the argument, right? Of of course you're losing, so you have to make a treaty. Okay, so they made their treaty. You can trade on this land, we're going to work with you, blah, blah, blah. So then America got formed. And then America was like, we can take over Canada too. So they started to come up north. And then the French and the British were like, oh, snap. We're going to become Americans. We're not going to become Canadians. We're not going to have our own land, right?
Or crown land.
Well, a crown land, yeah, sure. Whatever. I don't know these terminologies, but yeah, crown land.
But crown land means queens.
Okay, yeah. So they're like, this new thing called America is going to come up and destroy us.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were like, oh crap, we can't take them out on our own. So they asked for the help of the Indigenous. The Indigenous in the Canada portion of Turtle Island was like, sure, but we have to promise that we're going to share it equally. Equitably is the term that we use now.
Okay.
It's said in the definition. They wanted equitable land ownership.
Yeah.
Okay. So they made this sash. Wampum sash or whatever.
The belt, you said?
Wampum belt, yeah. So they made this belt. And to them, it's like a legally binding contract. It's like it's like if we wrote a contract.
Yeah.
It's their version of contract because they don't have any English, right? So they're like, if I give you this belt, that means that we will uphold this treaty for indefinitely, right? And then the French and the British were like, totally, we need your help. Let's band together. So lo and behold, they work together as a trio. They kick out the Americans and Canada gets formed. Okay? So from that Canada thing, what happened was the French and the British conspired to take out the Indigenous. They're like, oh, they're still pretty strong. We could own this whole thing if we just kick them out. So they started making laws laws backed by the Pope back in Rome, because they were Christian, saying that Indigenous are not human.
Right.
So with that decree, they declared war on the Indigenous. And from there, that's when you start to have a battle again. But by this time you have enough people over, you have enough logistics, you can actually start to really take them out.
Yeah.
Right? And then they were like, okay, we'll give you the land that we promised, which is reserves.
Actually, even though that's the case, but they don't own anything on reserves.
Exactly, bro. That's another crazy part, right?
Yeah.
So
it's not like no. They didn't give them reserve lands. They put them in reserve lands till they assimilated.
Exactly,
that's what they wanted to do.
Bro, mind blow. So you told them, hey, this is the land we promised you, bro. This is your part, bro. No, we're keeping the deal. Reserves, you get that part. And they're like, okay, cool, we can live on these reserves. Right.
And the way they did it was, I was watching all these interviews, or on the reserves and through the Indian Act.
Okay, I didn't even get to that.
Get to that, then I'll continue.
Okay, all right. So they started slaughtering them. So when you look at Canada now, right? Where is the French-speaking area? Because remember, it's British, French, Indigenous, right? So British, we all know, Toronto, Vancouver, most of it is English speaking.
Yeah.
Right? And then we have to learn French as a part of our studies here.
High school,
Everyone
yeah.
has to do it. Elementary and high school. Everyone has to do it. Elementary. High
Was
school.
it in elementary?
Yeah, it was in elementary.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
From kindergarten all the way up.
French?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, man. I've been doing it forever.
No, I never. They didn't have French.
Oh, maybe in your school they didn't. But I went to
Yeah,
like
French
St.
was
Brendan's.
I think 7 and 8.
Oh shoot! So you didn't even do it that long, bro?
No.
No, we did it from kindergarten to.
I don't think we
high
did. Yeah, it
school.
was just 7, 8, and then 9, and then I stopped.
Yeah, kindergarten up to grade 9. That was it
Mm.
for me.
Okay.
Oh, you only had to do 3 years.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why
I
you
only-
don't even know it, bro. Like I barely know. I'm like.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? That's all I know.
Yeah, je ne comprends pas. That's what I always say. I don't understand. Yeah. So that would piss off our fun French note. So like, I had this one French teacher who's like, you can only respond in French.
No.
So I learned je ne comprends pas. So every time she would say it to me, I'm like, ha ha, ha, je ne comprends pas. And it's like, well, technically those are your rules. I can
Right.
only respond in French.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, yeah, I had the same thing with, I think it was like grade 8. They were trying to speak all in French, and I was like, no, I don't understand.
Yo, I know.
And I
It
was like,
so
I
rude.
think
so
I was like the
rude.
only one that's like, and nobody else understands.
It's so rude.
And no one's
Exactly.
saying that. No.
It's the truth, though. We're just truth tellers, bro. That's why I like good game. Hold on, take it.
And then she asked the class, and which was true. Nobody understood.
Yes, and this goes back to the first topic, which is marketing and how we live as a collective society. Nobody wants to admit the truth.
Mm.
That's why it's like I had to pause as I was saying, like, who really understood that? I didn't even understand it, you know? Like, I'm just the only one admitting it. Like,
Yeah.
you too. Like, nobody knows what you're talking about, miss. Like, come on. So, anyways, not to be rude to the French, but so if you think about, all right, where do you have to go to learn French? Like, where is the French congregated? In Canada.
In Quebec.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they got their land.
Mm.
Where do you have to go to learn about speak Indigenous or like learn about the culture?
There's no specific place.
Exactly. Reserves.
Yeah, I mean, Thunder Bay is interesting. They have,
I was gonna say Thunder Bay,
Yeah.
but I've never been. So
they have signs in Cree language.
okay,
as
so
well.
one area.
Like,
Okay,
I guess all three: French, English, and
okay.
Cree.
But how come we remember to go back to your brother's point? We should make Indigenous one of the languages. I'm like, fair is fair. If it was made by the three of you, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
That it all goes back to that one freaking pact. So everyone's focusing on, oh, residential schools are bad, oh, blah, blah, blah. That's because you have a misguided view of history.
nobody was really paying attention until
Exactly, yeah,
residents.
that's fair. All right, you know what? Nobody's paying attention. Nobody really cared. Let's be honest, nobody cared.
That's true. Nobody
cared.
Yeah,
We were
most
all
people
comfortable.
Don't. Yeah, most people don't.
But now that with the internet, like, that's why we're in the age of enlightenment. I did an online program filled with videos, filled with historical documents. I was like, what the hell? Why doesn't everybody know this? Like, this is the foundation of why we're all angry.
Yeah, this is not the stuff. It's like it's not the stuff that we're taught in history.
It's what
Right.
Faraz Zahabi calls small circle conversations. So I didn't even hear about this term. So, you know, I'm trying to red pill everyone.
Yeah.
Remember, like, I sent you that thing? I like dropped that red pill and nobody responded to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, it's because it's meant for small circles. Like, philosophers literally called it small circle conversations.
okay.
Like Socrates, Aristotle, they're like,
They're
we're
all-
not going to tell everyone, bro. We're just going to keep it between you and I.
Well, they did like that. Then they did a school, right?
Yeah, well, because they're like, maybe we should band together and we should educate the public. Which is
Which
what
was
I feel
not
like
the
doing.
perspective. Which is not Socrates' perspective. Like that's not what he wanted, right? He
That's cool.
didn't-
Yeah, all right. Well, all right. We'll ignore philosophy
But
now.
that's
Let's just
humans,
focus
though,
on the
right?
main-
That we're gonna do.
Yeah, totally. We can't all know every information, et cetera, et cetera. But I just
Anyways.
think fundamentally, to be fair, to go back to this treaty, this wampum belt, this, what are you trying to reconcile? Like, it's called truth and reconciliation. So truth, I get it. You wanted us to know the history. But what are you trying to reconcile? The deaths? That's what I thought. Like, yeah, it does suck that we killed you. We genocided you. We'll admit that we slaughtered your people. Oops, our bad. You know, so now we're going to do land acknowledgements to admit that we are monstrous people, right? Technically not us, because we're not French or British, just saying. But anyways,
Yeah.
just to say, like, we're not savages anymore. That was my assumption. Turns out that the reason why you do land acknowledgements goes back to what they want to reconcile is, so they want to reconcile that Canada should be a trio, because we we were promised a trio. So the land math, they did statistics. Canadians, quote unquote Canadians, French and British, French and British, they constitute 99% of the entire land mass of Canada. Okay? The Indigenous, they quote unquote own, because you're right, they don't actually own that land, 0.2%. 0.2. So what they're saying with this whole reconciliation is what happened to our deal.
Yeah.
And now let's put this in human terms, because people are like, oh, I still don't get it. Like, right? So this is my analogy that I came up with. I can't wait to drop this on somebody. I don't know if I might drop it at work. That's a bit of a big red pill for me. But anyways, so if I was like, hey man, do me this project, it'll take a month. I'll pay you at the end of the project. End of the project comes, you did your part, you worked so hard. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay you.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the hell, bro? You owe me all this money. So that's a very tiny, that feeling that you got when I gave you that example, like, oh, that's not right. That's what they felt. And then from that one thing sprung out being slaughtered. So I didn't even add to that I will also kill you and your people. I will assimilate your people on top of, so you will have no more culture, no more identity on top of the fact that I won't pay you. How crappy does that sound?
Yeah.
So when you look at it through those terms, it's like, I understand why we're doing the land acknowledgement. The reason why we're doing it is because we're acknowledging that there is a third party here.
Yeah.
It's almost like saying, oh, Canada. I get it now. Initially, I was like, oh, this is so superficial. But it's like, oh, it's like the oh, Canada. You just want to be a part of the team because you were a part of the team.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right? It makes total sense now.
Yeah.
And it feels less disingenuous. But again, like when I was
I think people need to know that. If people don't know that, then
that's why truth comes first. Truth and reconciliation. You got to educate the public and then reconcile what was, because what they said in the thing is like, we know we can't go backwards in time, but we can change.
It's true. Yeah.
They acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like residential schools happened. Yeah. Everything happened. Doesn't matter. Yeah, you broke your promise. Totally cool.
Even there was like in that interview thing I was watching where they had a.
I didn't even get to. Sorry. Indian Act. Let me just quickly do this because you wanted to build off that. So Indian Act. The British introduced the Indian Act, and that basically it said that they couldn't vote, but that changed actually in 1962 apparently.
Yeah, there's been some.
There's some changes. Yeah.
There's been some changes over time.
Right. So there's all these like you can't own a certain amount of land. You can't own a certain amount of land. That's in their thing. Indigenous people.
That was in the original thing was really, like really not
like
really
dehumanize them.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So
basically, what they wanted was the assimilation.
Assimilation.
At the end result.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Through the Indian Act, you are not really a people. They even called it Indian Act.
Yeah, but
wait. Here's the crazy part. It's still in effect today.
Yeah.
We're in 2022. And the Indigenous are fighting to get that removed from legislation. However,
not all.
All right. So when you say not all, I think that is just miseducation.
No, I don't think it's miseducation.
Why would you want to keep that?
No. I think that what they were saying was like some of these chiefs didn't want to remove it because this was in a way. I think if you removed it, it's like kind of like chaos. Also,
what chaos? How?
I don't know.
But hold on, wait. Actually, let's unpack that idea.
Because this was the only thing that was actually identifying them as not Canadians.
Right, but
which is what they
for sure. But
if you removed it,
we're in 2022 now. We understand you are Indigenous, so it's like we can remove that, but it's still in effect today. Is what I'm so sure. Yeah, all right. That's the one thing. That's
I'm saying that I don't know when this chiefs talked about that.
But that's what I'm exactly.
This was like maybe years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
But we understand that Indigenous are a people. I understand that because you want to, because the book that I read, Treaty Nation and Treaty Peoples. Damn, let me check time. Okay, we're still good. Treaty Nation and Treaty Peoples. In that book, it said, okay, you're Indian, right? You're actual, not native. You're actually Indian. I'm Filipino. We have countries to represent our ethnicity.
Yeah.
Indigenous have 0 countries to represent their ethnicity. That was a mind blow to me. I was like, what? Because they literally got kicked off the land. So I get that chief's point. It's the one thing that signifies that we're still in the game.
Yeah, or like that we're not Canadian.
We're not Canadian.
We are Indigenous.
Totally. For sure. So. But we're in 2022 now. So that can be removed. If that's the one argument you have,
No, I'm not saying that was the one argument.
No, I know. That's like the key argument, right? Like that stuck out in your mind.
From that interview, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, because like, why would you want to keep it? It basically says we're not human. Mm-hmm. That's literally what the act says. Yeah. So here's the crazier part. They don't have enough collective power to vote against the abolishment of the Indian Act. Mm-hmm. What the hell? So you need to ask for allies to help you.
Yeah.
And if the ally doesn't understand the issue, for me, now that I'm educated, I'm like, dude, I would vote to abolish the Indian Act. But if you went to a regular person, hey man, should we abolish the Indian Act? Like, what is the Indian Act?
Yeah.
Don't even know. So that's why truth comes first. Learn your history, then reconcile from the truth. Mm-hmm. It makes total. I thought it was just some BS thing that we had to all learn. Mm-hmm. You know, we have 94 truths and reconciliation, these promises we need. Because they were like pushing that so much, and I was like, what's going on? I don't know. You know?
So I think one of the, that's what I was in that interview, they brought up Niska.
I don't know what that is.
That's in the BC.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they have, that's one of the, why it's not really being talked about, because it's actually working.
Okay, cool.
That's like they can vote on their own party, their own team, and that's they have their own land.
So you know what I see that as? It's a pilot study. It's like, hey, it'll work. Now give us more land, because we're still only occupying 0.2%. Yeah. Like how much land does the French have?
Right. Yeah.
They have Quebec, you know, which includes Montreal. Like even in Ottawa, you have to be bilingual. Yeah. So it's like.
That's why it's a long process, because that was going on for years, right?
Yeah.
And only in, I think I said 2000, where it was actually like final agreement happened.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So it's been going on for now 22 years, right? So
so you can actually see how it worked.
Yeah, and it's actually really, because they kept bringing that up in like a roundtable kind of discussion with other like professors of Native Indian, like professors or Indigenous.
All right, so they went into definitions of this. I didn't even know this. They don't like the term Native Indian because it's like, they don't like the term Aboriginal because, and I was wondering about that too, because everyone says Aboriginal. So the reason why they don't like that term is because ab means not from.
Oh, really?
So it means they're not from here. And they don't like that. I know, dude. Etymology is crazy. Yeah. So that's why they don't like the word Aboriginal if you use it, because it means we're not from here. But they are from here. They're here first.
Yeah.
So they go with Indigenous because it's just like blanket statement.
The first. Indigenous means like the first people. Or...
you can say like First Nations, but that only constitutes Cree, Métis, and Haudenosaunee.
There's so many others, right?
That's why they go with Indigenous, because it's like... You're only doing 3, so you're like First Nations. Like, well, what about us? So we just go with Indigenous now.
Yeah. So the Niska Nation is very interesting. Okay. How that worked out. But the thing is, like, that was with the Canadian government and the BC government.
Oh, okay. Cool.
In that whole
nice
and the Niska Nation.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that the issue is you have to do this thing with each province.
Yes, exactly. Right? Yeah, that's why I was saying pilot study. If you do it good once, you show it works, then you can move on. It's like
all depends on the types of leaders that you have.
Exactly, dude. That's the tricky part. It's like, even though you're pointing to a great example, that's a great pilot study.
Yeah.
But what they want is give us back the deal. That's all they want. You promised.
I get that. I get that what you're saying, but that's you have 3 parties talking.
Exactly. But no, here's the
It's not just 2.
You have 3 parties, and the voice of one party is basically nothing, because it's based off of percentage of ownership, right? Like, well, British own most of this land, so we get the biggest vote, and then French, like, they don't really get that. Remember the whole thing when we were kids, like, Quebec wanted to separate from...
Yeah, that's still kind of like...
It's still kind of a thing. Yeah. But you're like, why would that happen? Makes no sense. But then when you find out that British, French, and Indigenous created Canada, it makes total sense, because the French are like, why did you get the bigger part of the deal? Yeah. Everything makes sense when you look at history, right? Because you're like even my parents, like everyone, the collective, those damn Quebecers, they don't know what they're doing. I hear it all the time, right? Don't you? They're like, those Quebecers, like, they're weird. But it's like, no, they had equal ownership. It was a 3-party team to take out the Americans. Yeah. if you actually story tell it like that, like, remember when we had COVID and I was like, I don't think we have a COVID issue, we have a marketing issue. I don't think we have an Indigenous issue, we have a marketing issue for the Indigenous. Like, it's education, you know?
Yeah.
If you understood that, and like, if you listen to this story and you don't think that's a raw deal, you are a colonial. And what is colonial? Lie, cheat, steal. Right? And that's what capitalism is. So, you know, when they talk about like capitalism is colonial, or like our system is, all right, they say systemically we're colonial. It's because we got built in the British system, right? Okay. But capitalism, when you think of Wall Street, lie, cheat, steal. You know, how many other things have you heard of, like, every rich person has done something bad in their past to get rich? That's general assumption. That's capitalist assumption, right? But that's literally what they did. The British lied, cheated, steal. Oh yeah, like what they're in the videos, it was so heartbreaking to see. Like, I won't even go into like the reserves.
I mean, it gets into a lot of things. It's even they lie, cheat, and steal. This is with the Indigenous, and then it's like when they colonize other areas and who are setting up the borderlines of this country, this is their border.
Exactly.
These are all these. It's the colonizers. So
yes.
It's the Europeans.
Yeah. Actually, well, when they were defining colonialism, they brought up Japan as a colonialist country because they went in, and I see it because they went into Philippines too. They like separated us, and the Spanish were also like colonialism. Yeah. Like British just made it the most popular.
They were the biggest.
Yeah, they were the biggest.
Wasn't there like a famous line where the sun never sets on the crown, like on the British?
Oh, that's a cool line.
Yeah. The sun never sets on the British, or the crown. The sun never sets on the crown.
Ooh, that's a good line. That's a good line because we own every part of the world.
That's basically
a good line. But it's true though, right? So like I just want to hammer that home. You made a promise that you're just not keeping. Yeah. That's whatever.
But this is the thing, right? The deal was with the British and French. British and French are not technically here. It is now Canadian.
Exactly. So they want their piece of the pie now. They're like, bro.
I think that can happen now.
I think so too. I'm optimistic for the future.
Yeah, I think.
But but I think it comes first with truth. Why is it truth and reconciliation? We all need to know what's going on. Like, I took this course in 5 hours, and now my Tara's being funny. She's like, oh, now you're an Indigenous advocate. I'm like, I really am, because that's like, if I was in that position, I'd be like, dude, that sucks. Because I've been in that position where like I've worked as a freelancer, and then like they just don't want to pay you. And then you're like, oh my God, bro. Like, now I have to like bring it to the next level. Like, that's why I got out of the freelance game, because I'm like, you have to chase down your money. Why am I going to chase down my money?
Right.
We had a promise. That's what the Indigenous felt. Why do I have to chase down what you promised me?
So let me go back to the other point with the reserves. And now that you've brought up the Indian Act, so they had to get permission to leave their reserves.
Yes. The pass system.
Yeah, they had an Indian agent.
Yes.
Or something like that.
And what they said is...
And then also, it's not like the reason they put them in reserves, and then like you're seeing the development of the rest of Canada happening, it was for them to, like, when they go out and see, it's like, well, I want to join that. So that was the part of the assimilation idea.
Yes, bro. Yes. Dude, all right. I'm running out of time, but there's a lot of craziness. So with the pass system, they brought that. I was like, what the hell, bro? All right. The sixth,
even the name, like, you can tell your real name. And the guy that he was interviewing has a white name. But because in order to leave the reserves, you give them your real name, and then they're like, okay, you're Bob this.
Yeah, yes, bro. How crazy is that? But think about the pass system. It's like, hey, you guys are on your land, bro. Our promise is you get to be on that land. But while they're on that land, all right, let's quickly build up. Let's build the city.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you come back, you're like, dude, what happened to our forests?
Yeah.
And like, you weren't supposed to be here. Kill them.
Well, it wasn't that. It was more like, just join us. Versus
for sure, but what it said in the education is the pass system. They actually didn't allow most people to use that.
No, in the beginning they yes, but then the point was to eventually get them to.
But why wouldn't you let them use it?
No, it's like you would lose the rights of being Indigenous.
But for sure. But why would you do that? Because you're being like, hold on, just stay over here. Don't pay attention to what we're building until we're ready.
Yeah.
And then now, how are you going to take out our city, bro? Now I'm driving through Toronto, and I'm like, how is the Indigenous supposed to take us back? Like, if you were an Indigenous tribe, you're really going to fight a city? I'm going to lock my door, bro. What do you got? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have infrastructure.
Yeah.
So you're going to keep them on a reserve, not allow them to build infrastructure. Let us build infrastructure. Bring in our tanks, bring in our whatever, bring in more boats full of people with guns. Hey, like, hurry up your goddamn boats, bro. We need to, like, kill these people. Like, really think about how manipulatively it is genius. Like, you gotta call a spade a spade. This is a very genius strategic move. But I would say, if I was on the other end of it, I would feel cheated.
Yeah, of course.
Like, if you actually look at, like, right? And then, to piggyback off what you said, another crazy thing is the 60s scoop, where they would just go in the 1960s, they would go in to these Indigenous areas, scoop up the children, and bring them to schools for months at a time. And you couldn't not let them do it. So the Indigenous women were like, that was about our freaking kids?
Yeah, there was another thing too where in the interview was like, you had to register your kids.
Bro, right? Oh, technically we do that here too.
No. It's not like, it's not the same. It's a very different, because it's like they could, there's this fear, this lady was speaking of, the fear that they could just take my kids away. That fear still exists.
I see what you're saying. No, register is in like not, not register so you know you have a kid. Yeah. But okay, so you have the fear that they might take your kids away, which is what they did.
Yeah.
They scooped up, literally 60s scoop, because 1960s, they scooped up the children, brought them to these re-education centers, right? And then what was crazier was the quotes, because then the kids would come back and they'd be like, I hate my mom and dad. Why do you hate them? Because they're brown and they made me this way. Like, that is so sad. You took them as a youth. Because how do you change the mind of a nation? Education. Which is, if you go back to the KGB agent, remember he said it takes 15 years to re-educate a population? They're using the same tactics.
Yeah.
Education is the most fundamental thing we have, because if you don't continuously educate yourself on the truth or like what actually happened, then you're lost, because you don't even know what's true anymore. How did that Indigenous kid go back to their parents and be like, I hate you because I'm brown like you. You made me this way. Right? That's heartbreaking. Like, wow. And but to go back to it though, it's like, how much of the red pill are you willing to take? Because this is the brutal honesty. But to know this, it undoes your worldview. I was at the circus yesterday with your brother and my sister. I was like, this is so ridiculous. Like, I can't believe that this is a real thing. But then I started thinking, we're doing this on Indigenous land. And it started to like spiral me into a negative, like it kind of killed my vibe. Right? And it's like, because now I know the truth. And like, how can you live with yourself after knowing the truth?
Well, now that we're already here, what do we do to fix it? That's
why I love what they said, truth and reconciliation. They're like, we can't change the past. Residential schools, it happened. Assimilation, 60 scoop, pass system, it all happened. It happened. But we want to reconcile. We want to educate you first, truth, and then reconcile the promise you guys made back then. And it's not even like, let's just remember that you were losing, and then you made treaties. The French and the British were losing to the Indigenous, so they made treaties. You're already losing, so you have to do something to not lose.
No, I get that.
And then America's coming, and you're like, oh, we could lose even more. So let's band together. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Let's band together, fight off them.
The thing is, I get that.
And then the Indigenous said, the Indigenous were in a position of power, and they said, okay, fine. You're already winning. And you said, okay, fine, let's work together. And then they just used their trickery, and look where we are today. That's bananas, right? You were winning. You could have been like, no, you guys are on your own. We'll be fine. We know we can take out the Americans. And then, but the British and French needed it. So then they literally made their most sacred item, the wampum belt.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, like, it wasn't just like, oh, we're handing this over. They had to do like peace pipe ceremonies. They had to, like, they were going into it. Like, it was a whole thing. Could you imagine being freaking British or French and like taking part in that and just being like, oh, I'm just gonna lie to you right now. You're gonna think I'm really mean this, but like the only thing that really matters is the word of God and the word of the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dick move.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Oh man, I'm so heated about this.
That's why it's very interesting to see today or now where they went, they had like, what's the word? Where like the committee going to the Pope.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Like that all happened. That's why then the Pope came here.
But he said, no, he's saying sorry about the residential schools.
Yeah.
But it's like, but if you
I know, I get that. And I think they also there was also talks with the Crown as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
If I remember.
Yeah, that's cool.
So there's more of a, at this time, has been more of an attention at it since the residential school situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Which has brought more light to it, right?
Which is great because this was an online program. Anybody could take this free online program. Again, description in the YouTube comments or wherever, not comments, description below in Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, wherever you listen to this. But you were saying, were you going to continue?
I'm saying that there's bringing a more light to it. I feel like there will be more people...
as heated as I am, like being like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, if you knew... And then I started like tripping out, like, I really gotta go, damn. I was tripping out, our last thing, I was tripping out thinking about the logo of Canada.
Yeah.
Maple leaf.
Maple leaf, yeah.
There's 3. Because it was a trio.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that, bro.
Yeah.
There's 3 leaves, there's 3 like edges on the maple leaf.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, British, and Indigenous. And then I started thinking, like, what would the flag look like if you added like those 3 logos? I started like going to my design phase.
Is it even like the red, white, and red again?
Yeah, it's 3 again.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was a trio. We all forgot that it was a trio. Like that's why I really respect what the Indigenous are saying. They're like, why are we focusing on the residential schools? That sucks for sure. Like, but that's not the main issue. We're trying to reconcile our promise.
Yeah, that's the main attention where it should now go towards.
Where it should now go to. But my perspective is like, it was a marketing issue because when I think about reconciliation, I think about like saying sorry for the dead kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, but that's a they're like, it may sound callous to me, like coming from me, but they're literally saying that's a non-issue. That was the past. Mm-hmm. We just want our promise. Mm-hmm. Think about that, everyone.
Yeah.
Mind freaking blow. I can't even like, I don't know. I feel so like.
I'll show you the interview too. It was very interesting. The discussion of them all.
I'm also interacting. Like, I think I don't want to leave you with a negative note. So yeah, I'll watch that thing. Maybe we can even do a part 2 next week if I educate myself more. I really gotta go. Damn. All right. So all right. Last thing. So as I was doing this program, I was being like contacted by Caucasian people I know.
Okay.
They were sending me photos of their kids. I was like, oh, what a cute kid. And then but I was taking this program as I was responding to them. And to me, taking the Taoist perspective is just, it just happened. You're sending me a photo of your kid. You're Caucasian. You don't even know what this is, bro. Like, education, don't let your education steer you towards hate. That's what I want to end with.
Yeah.
Is like, now that I know, I'm like, I was still being so like, they're like, oh yeah, this is cute. Here's my kid. I was like, oh my God, these kids are so cute. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Right. Like, oh, you're so lucky to have that child. I could have been like, goddamn colonial. Like, look at what you did, you know? But it's like, you don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah, but we can't do that either because it's the same thing. We're doing the opposite way.
What do you mean? Like hate on them?
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah, because you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, an eye for an eye will make the whole world go blind, right? That's what Jesus said. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, Jesus called Indigenous people non-human. No, not him. The Christians, right? The Pope said that. He decreed that they're not human.
Yeah, well, we're all human. That makes this. We're all different popes that are saying different opinions.
Yeah, fair. All right. Oh my God. All right. Last, final thing. My aunt, she moved she works for the government, and she moved departments to work for the families of Indigenous. They have this like department now. She's like, oh, this would be interesting. Like, let me join this. And she says that the stuff that she's like watching or like has to educate herself on for the department is like so horrific. Like most of the time that their team is like, just turn it off, because like they would use those children in the residential schools as like test subjects. So like, what is it like if we inject you with arson? Oh, that's what happens. Oh, what happens if we don't let somebody sleep? Okay. Oh, that's what happens. You know, like field mice.
Yeah.
They just treated them like that because they're not human. Crazy. What would it be like if we just peeled your skin off? Do you think that would hurt? Like, what? And even after all that, even if that doesn't make your blood boil, the Indigenous are still like, that happened? It's a non-issue.
But but at least that this is happening within the government too, that they're teaching.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, it's not like hidden away.
Yeah, it's not hidden away. Yeah. Well, because of this, the uncovering of the bodies thing that was like all over social media.
Yeah. I watched this movie that was really good about it.
Oh, wait.
With residential schools.
The priest one, and like he met him back. He did hockey or something.
Yeah. It was he was in the residential schools who then fell in love with hockey, and then all that stuff that happened. But then it's a sad story at the end but a lot of the people go through the same same scenario where life has made the trauma of the past comes back, and then that's how they get involved in all the drugs and the drinking.
Yes.
So
I'd even go into that.
So the story was it's not a true story, but it's a very true story to a lot of the people.
Totally. But I don't. One, that just makes me feel so bad. Like I was watching, like before they even got into the legalities, they were showing you what like reserves look like, and so many people are killing themselves, and they call it Canada's
That's what they were.
world.
That's exactly the thing. Yeah. People were just being it was kids. They were away from their parents. They were stolen from their parents.
Yeah. The 60 scoop.
Yeah. So it's like they're gonna harming themselves and stuff, trying to get out, or they're trying to leave, escape, but then they get caught. Like there's just not a.
Yeah. No.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
But
it's another statistic is Canada is the second best country to live in. They're showing the statistic, but on Indigenous land, it's ranked 64th best. And they literally call it Canada's third world.
Right.
I think you can go to like canadasthirdworld.ca, and then it's like, I didn't go to it. It was like external study, but I was like, nah, this is just stuff so sad, bro.
Yeah.
But
I think like that is all that stuff that's sad. This guy was really pushing what's happening with the Niska Nation. I think that's
look
the
at optimism.
Thing. That's where we have to be focused on and what we need to do.
And that's why when people were like, they're like, oh, look at the atrocities of the Indigenous. Like they're trying to tell me to read these books. I'm like, no, I know it's bad. I've seen like Holocaust videos, bro. Like I don't need to look at the sadness. Like I know it's bad. It's just gonna hurt my heart. But let's just look at the legality.
Yeah.
And if you look at it legally, like we all know that sucks, but like, because you can always go with the argument of like, yeah, that's pretty bad, but you know what happened to Jews, right? You know what happened to the Italians under Stalin, right? You can always make it worse. You know, well, at least it's not North Korea. You know, but it's like, ignore that. It could always be worse. What are the legalities? You promised us a 3-party system. We got tricked. Right? Because you can't deny that. It's like, it's all subjective until it's objective, which is legality.
So this is what the British did. The British left.
Clever people.
They left.
Yeah.
The French left.
Yeah. Now that we have Canadians, so like...
For the Canadians to deal with.
Yeah.
It's not the crown anymore.
Exactly. Trippy. All right, I'm super late for jiu-jitsu. All right, I gotta go. All right, take it easy. Peace, fish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, fish.
Peace.